thank you for joining me. This is Laurie of Laurie's Heirloom Sewing, and today is basically a continuation of the project that I started where I am sewing little fabric squares together. This is what I've got so far. Professional quilters, just look away now. Okay, there we go. So as I was saying, the whole point of this is not to be, perfectly straight. And in fact, I am, hang on a second. Hibiscus tea, so good. Anyway, it's not to be perfect, and I was intentionally not lining up seams. I don't want them to look like they were supposed to be lined up and there was a failure. So I was offsetting, which is why I've got, these poking out at weird angles. They're not lined up on the sides. I'm not trying to make this a specific, perfect, geometric, everything is in alignment design. That I have one piece of fabric and that the next piece of fabric matches it size wise, so if I line up my raw edges then they're gonna line up. I can trim, and I have been doing that. Like these two are almost at the same size. One of these, I don't know if you recognize this, it's a little fabric basket. I have one over there as well. So anyway, but this one is going to be a little bit smaller, maybe not quite as small as the other one. Here, I'll grab that real quick so you can see it. It has my art supplies, sort of, some of my art supplies. I'm trying to get back in here. There we go. It's hard to roll this chair on a rug, I gotta tell ya. Ugh. Okay, so I have my little notebook that I draw or write in, or both. I have my gel pens. I have a little bag of lavender. It just smells good, so I like to keep it in there. I am surprised how much I can get in this. I had a lot more stuff in here earlier, but it's also very tall, so if I need to, I can, really put a lot of stuff in here, and if I don't need to, then I can just, fold it back down to where I had it before. It's extremely sturdy. I mean, it just, even with stuff not in it, it stands up on its own quite easily. So that is that one. And it also has a boxed bottom edge. There we go, like the other one that I made. So this one I think will be a little bit more farmhouse, country, shabby chic. I don't know. Something in that range, style-wise. But I am planning to do a closure on this one, just because I feel like it. I'm trying to keep my raw edges together. Okay, and then I could take this out at this point, and I could, stop, lift this, cut the threads, and then add something to one of these. But what I'm doing is I'm going to just reach for another piece of fabric. We'll go with this tone-on-tone gold and a red polka dot. And I'm going to put these right sides together and just keep going. And I'm taking kind of, I'm going to say it's probably about 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. I think I'll line this up. It's just, I'm using the edge of my foot, my presser foot here. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So now I will cut these apart. I don't know if it's still referred to as clothesline stitching, but that's what I used to call it when I taught. I would just say we're just going to clothesline. Kind of finger press this one down and open this up, and kind of finger press this one down, and I'm not getting all caught up on which direction these seams are going. Now that I've got these this way, I'm going to put these right sides together, line up these raw edges, and stitch. And then same thing. But as you can see, this piece of fabric is far wider than this. I'm getting smaller, smaller, smaller. So I'm going to go to, say, this right here. I'm going to try to line up one of the edges, and I'm going to stitch it down. And I guess I do need to mention the obvious here. These are scraps of fabric. This is not fabric that I went to a fabric store or a source online and purchased specifically for this project. These are just scraps. This is my cabbage that I have laying around. And for that reason, I'm not that concerned about, you know, making sure that I'm using it exactly the way I should be using it. But that can be dealt with. Okay, so now I'm just going to take right here, right sides together. I do want to make sure that I don't have two of the same pieces of fabric lining up. So if I could, what I would do is turn this, you know, and have it like this. Unfortunately, these two are going to be the same, and this is awfully close to this one here. If I turn it this way, it's a little less close, but I could also flip this over this way. I just feel like there's too many fabrics matching up that way. So that's kind of my goal, is to just make sure that what I'm doing isn't matching, and I'm shifting it so that my seams are not lined up. So for this one, I'm going to go to here. I like the way that looks. And even if it's off on this edge, I can always square this up. And I could add more fabric. I could just keep going and add more fabric if I need to. All right, so I'm going to line up the raw edge and sew. Sewing this way, you do get a little bit of a bow. I don't know if you can see it, but there is a slight bow, and that's fine with me. I'm not too concerned about it. Pressing will sometimes help pull that out, but that's not a method that you should rely on. That's just if you're doing a project like I'm doing, then by all means you could use your iron to kind of, you know, tuck it and pull it and get it the way that you would like it to look. Okay, so there's that one. Kind of like that. The blue is quite strong, and the red, I think I need a little bit more red balance. But again, I'm not going to be all, ooh, it's not balanced out right, it's not looking good. I think it is, and I'm fine with that. So I'm just going to grab tab. Full-on garden tour this morning, but it is so cold and so rainy today that's just not going to happen. I'm freezing in my house. Of course, I'm drinking iced tea, but honestly, I just can't. So today is May the 21st, 2020. As you can see, I've gone back to going, instead of chain stitching two together, I've just been stitching these together. I had to stop and clean my sewing machine and give it a good oiling. It was starting to chew up my fabric, which, you know, that's rare for George. Normally George doesn't do that sort of thing, especially since we just had a good cleaning yesterday, but you know, not being able to get to the sewing machine shop, you run the risk of having problems if you don't take care of these as they crop up. I got this piece of that. Okay. I do like the way this is coming together. Now you see I have B and B, so I'm going to turn this way and make sure that I have this going here with no matches. What happens if I put it this way? Okay. Yeah. Okay. And then of course making sure that I don't have seams matching up, which, ooh, it looks like I'm really gonna have to shift this. Now I could just wait and use this piece somewhere else. Okay, so that is about the size that I want this way. So now if I'm going to leave it this way, what I have to do is square up this side over here, and I might end up having to add if I feel like it's too small. But for that particular job, I will take it to the cutting mat and use the ruler and the rotary cutter. So, and then this is just going to go straight in the middle. And I'm kind of excited about how I plan to do that. Okay, so here we have our outer fabric. So I haven't cut the lining fabric yet, but this fabric is 17 wide. So from this corner all the way across to this corner, that's 17. And then from the same corner up is 13. And it is two pieces. Just sort of trimming off some of these hairs. It's 100% cotton. I cannot remember the name of it. I bought it for my sister's jacket that I made. I did a video on it. I'll have to go back and look. It was McCall's. It's a jacket and a tote bag. But let's take the measuring tape just to double check the width. So from one edge to the other is 17. I don't know if you can see that right there. And from top to bottom, it's probably shy of 13. Well, nope, actually, I think we're pegged right on 13. Yep, so there's 13. Okay, so we will need the same size, 2 pieces for the lining, and we will need basically the same amount of a really stiff iron-on, just, you know, stabilizer, something along those lines, just to keep it from being floppy. Okay, now there are 2 ways that we could apply this. One is the applique way. This is going to go on the front. And I need to keep it so that it's not going to wrap underneath when I make the boxed bottom. Do a heart shape. I think it would be cute. So I'm going to fold this in half. What I want to do is see how that would look. I think that would be really cute, you know, on the angle. Yeah, I like the way that would look. So I'm just going to fold my project, well, I'll do it this way, in half, like that. Okay, I'm going to take a friction pin, like we all learned to do in school. Okay, and I'm going to draw a heart shape. Throwing that away. Moment of truth. Oh, I think that is just adorable. Got that. So there we have the, and then I'm going to put my heart on the paper. And then I'm going to use a pair of paper cutting scissors and cut around, probably just kind of rough cut, and then once I get this ready to applique, then I'll trim it really well. But let me get this part done first, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have the paper fused with 505 glue to the back of the applique that I created. So now I am going to decide which of these 2 pieces of fabric will be the front. They're both identical. Yep, so it doesn't matter. I'll just use this one. The main thing you want to do is make sure you don't have any stray threads. So kind of make sure that, see, there's one right there, couple, just clean it off. Even, you know, use a, one of those roller things, sticky roller, if you need to. Okay, so the second thing I need to do is find the center. And to do that, I'm going to just finger press after I fold it in half one way. Open that up, finger press it the other way. Right in the middle. That will give you the center of the piece of fabric. So it's right there. So I can actually kind of draw a dot with my friction pin. Okay, and then I'm going to kind of do the same. I don't really want to do too much folding to this, but that's pretty much the center right there. So I'm going to line that up like that, and then pin it. And in order to pin, you're going to need very sharp pins. In the middle of doing all this zigzagging and switch out my thread. I know I have enough pink in my bobbin and I'm not going to take it out. It's actually fine. But there is literally not enough thread on this spool. You can see spool through the thread. So I'll save that for us. Okay, now second thing I need to do, got that all squared away, is make sure that I'm in a zigzag and needle down, and I want to test and see what that looks like. And thankfully I have just the right kind of fabric to test it on. Exactly what I want right there on this side. I like the way that looks. I think it would be pretty. Kind of has a little country look with the pink and white thread mixed together. Okay, so the second thing I'm going to do, or am I on third now, is put my sewing machine table on because I want threads out of the way. Attach the table. And what this does is help my project to lay flat and become less congested through the trying to maneuver around that little skinny arm. Okay, I want to start kind of on a straight way where I don't have to immediately go around a curve. So I'm going to start about halfway down on one of the fat sides of, here we go. There's just one little and there we go. So now I can just cut these threads, cut these threads, now the interesting thing is, I'll take these pins out, the inside of this project will not be seen because there will be a lining on the inside. Okay. So that's not going to ever be seen unless somebody pulls the lining out. These stitches will be hidden. So the only stitches seen will be what's on the outside here. I think it turned out really cute. And because it is a piece of paper back there stabilizing, it's giving a lot of extra standing power to our little basket. Okay, So the next thing I need to do after I press this is decide what I want to line this with. And I think I know what I want to line it with. So let me grab that fabric real quick. That will be adorable. Back you up a little bit. Woo! So as you can see, we have cowboy boots, horseshoes, cowboy hats, little dog prints. I think it's an ideal fabric for our horse and patchwork. So what I need to do is cut two 17 by 13 inch pieces of fabric for the lining. Alright guys, so here we are. Try not to flip over in my chair. Got the two lining pieces cut and the two outer pieces, and I decided against having the lining creating a taller cuff. I think that would just be too much going on with the print that we already have. So next step is for me to put some interfacing on the inside two pieces. A 20 inch by 36 inch iron-on fusible fleece. Oh, no, not yet. So, okay. There we go. Now I take a 2 by 2 piece of cardboard that I have, my friction pin, and I draw around. You can use a ruler to measure this if that's your preference. Okay, I'm gonna have to try. And the heads, these are butterflies, away from the edge I'm going to be cutting, but I cross these over each other so that there's less opportunity for shifting. I go ahead, do both right and left. And then I'm also going to do that next to the spot that I'm going to be cutting, but I want to make sure that the pointy, pokey part of the pin is away from my hand. I don't like getting stabbed by pins. In fact, I loathe getting stabbed by pins. Okay, so that is now very well secured, and I can cut without fear of it shifting out of place. Oh, those pins just look evil. Okay, and now I have two more little squares to add to the collection that I have. I'm not taking these pins out until I cut out this side. I know I didn't put pins over here, but I've noticed in the past that this set of pins seems to keep the whole entire area down here pretty well set, and unless I'm doing something huge, I feel like that 17 inches, that's plenty of stability there. Okay. Two more. Now I will remove the evil pins. If you know me well, you know I don't generally use plastic head pins, but I find that these are so much easier to see on my print fabrics. Alrighty, I'm back. And interfacing has been applied. And my tea is sweating. Let me see if I can find something to... Yes, I will use math fabric since I'm not a fan of math. Okay. Okay, there we go. So next steps for our little project are to put right sides together, like so. Back to the sewing. Alrighty. Alright, now I'm going to back up. I'm going to come forward. And now I'm going to lift my presser foot and I'm going to turn my project so that I'm sewing toward me and off that raw edge. What that does is that creates what I call a gate. And it kind of helps force this open area to turn when I need for it to turn. So, guys, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to leave enough space so that I can get my hand in there to turn my project right side out. I would rather leave too much than not enough. I'm going to take a few stitches, I'm going to go backwards, I'm going to create that gate, and you can do that however you want. For me, sometimes I just do it this way, going backwards, and then I'll come forward, and then I just start sewing again. Alright, so what you just saw, I'm going to do here, obviously. Okay, so now, alright, so we're going to stitch all the way around the top, just like this. And for that, I am going to take the table off. Go. My preference is to start on a side seam. So it wouldn't hurt to give this seam right here a press. And that's what I'm going to go do. Put your fingers in the area that you left open and pull, and that fabric will fold to the inside, and you can give that a quick press as well. And I'm just going to do a starting up where it needs to be stitched. Okay, and once you get all that sorted, so we've pressed across the top, we finished off that open side seam. Now we're just going to take our lining and turn it to the inside. So we're pushing it down into the basket like this. Kind of make sure those boxed corners on the lining are lining up with the boxed corners on the outside. You can just use your fingers to push them down. Sorry, somebody's decided to mow in the rain. I don't know why. Less like a basket. So I don't know yet. I haven't really figured that out. But I do like it. I think it's really cute. I must think about this. I'm going to create a handle out of the patchwork fabrics that I have that match-ish. One side will be this, and the other side will either be the lining fabric or the outer fabric. I haven't decided on that yet. So when I come back, that will have been done. Might be tomorrow when I get it all lined up and the videos put together. This is truly a great way to do it because it's got a lot of fabric. It's very strong, and you're using up fabric. You know, you're going through your stash, you're using up all those little pieces of fabric. And I mean, it'd be great for a dog leash. It would be great for a belt, or a strap of any kind if you needed, you know, to hang a basket, a hanging basket, or any of those kinds of things. You can make it wide, you can make it narrow, but I think they're really cute. All right, so I need to cut a, believe it or not, a 6.5 inch. to our little bobble button like that. And the last step is to put our strap on. So I'm just going to fold these under. I need to kind of mark the center of this. I just think it is the cutest little thing ever. I love it. I just love it. It really speaks to me. So I hope that you've enjoyed the process of creating a fun little bespoke bag. If you have questions, want more information, need me to go back and show or explain how to do a certain step, do not hesitate to leave me a comment below. I always read them. I will check that. Check out my Facebook page at Laurie's Heirloom Sewing. Okay, so have a wonderful day. It is Thursday, May the 21st of 2020. I hope that you are safe and that you are able to do what you need to do, and I will see you next time.